Good morning and welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Weekly Show, a podcast brought to you by the Livingston Parish News. This is Group Therapy, episode 6 of the 2022 season. I'm back in the booth with my fellow editors here at the Livingston Parish News. This is the time once a week when we sit down to discuss what's going on in Livingston Parish. We're going to let them introduce themselves real quick, but first I guess I should introduce myself. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news, and today we're going to start on the viewers left.
Hey, this is Rob DeArmond, sports editor here at the Livingston Parish News.
And this is David Gray, reporter, photographer with the Livingston Parish News.
And also a lifestyle editor. Don't let him sell himself short. He always
Come
tries.
on, man. Put them all in there, man.
That's too many.
Too many titles.
Yeah,
A
reporter,
jack of all.
photographer fits enough.
There you go. Jack of all trades. So first and foremost, before we get into it with these two gentlemen, I do want to let folks know that Premier Credit here in Denham Springs is celebrating 25 years in service/business. They are a credit financing company. You can find them on Del Norte Drive near the post office, in between the post office and Walmart on Range Avenue, or I guess you can say just off. They are offering a giveaway as a celebration of 25 years in business. It is the full fixings for a crawfish boil. They're giving the boiler, they're giving away a propane tank, they're giving away the pot, 35 pounds of crawfish, an igloo chest, as well as crawfish trays. All you have to do is go find the rules on their Facebook page or visit their location on Del Norte Drive. So congratulations to Premier Credit on 25 years in business. Mr. Gray, we're not going to tell you who it is yet, but he's going to be covering another business here in the next couple of weeks. They've been around a while.
Yes.
90 years to be exact. So be looking forward to that. So let's jump into the rest of the show real quick. We're going to start with Mr. David. And we're going to go ahead and get this news out of the way. Let's talk a little bit about Miss Cynthia Perkins has been sentenced, and so now Melanie Curtin's still kind of in the mix, but now we look to Denny in May.
Yeah. So last week we talked about that Miss Cynthia had accepted a plea deal with the Attorney General's office in exchange for testifying against her ex-husband Dennis Perkins, a former sheriff's lieutenant. Together, if you recall, they were together. Those two were charged with 150 counts. First degree rape, producing child pornography, obscenity, video voyeurism, sexual battery of a child. That's just a few of them. They faced those 150 together. Then the judge ruled in favor of a severance, so they were going to be tried separately. Last week on Valentine's Day, Cynthia Perkins's trial was supposed to start with jury selection. We were in the courthouse for 3 or 4 hours while her attorneys in the Attorney General's office kind of worked out this plea deal, and she ended up pleading guilty to 3 crimes: second-degree rape. God, I can't remember the other ones. I'm trying to look it up right now. But she pled guilty to three crimes, including second-degree rape, which was the worst one. And for that one, she'll basically have to serve 41 years. The last one, she is eligible for parole, but she will have to serve those first 40 years. So that she was officially sentenced on Friday. That was after we did our last week's podcast, and you got to hear impact statements from her family, who tried to paint her as also a victim of Dennis Perkins. That was one of the things her parents, both of them spoke. That was very emotional. As you can imagine, her parents were in tears. She was in tears. They kind of talked about how she was just this cheerful person until she met Dennis Perkins, and that was where her life changed for the worse, they said. But on the other hand, you had impact statements from people who believe that she was culpable in these crimes, that she did have a hand in them more than just being a victim herself. One called her, Dennis Perkins' huntress, painting her as equally culpable in those crimes. And we read some of the one of the victim's fathers read a statement prepared, and it was just kind of gut-wrenching hearing what was said in that courtroom that day. But like I said, now all the attention is turned to Dennis, which trial I believe is May 15th. I think is when it starts. We'll have something coming out soon, just kind of a refresher on everything, because it's been a while since we just focused on Mr. Perkins, but now all attention is being turned toward that.
Speaking of attention, for the past 2 years, as of this March, actually, we will have been surrounded by COVID.
Yes.
Recently, the public health emergency is staying in place, just in case, I suppose, we have another surge. But as of now, most required mitigation efforts have been done away with,
Yes.
released. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was the governor's newest proclamation last week. He said he's still continuing the public health emergency, but there are pretty much no mitigation measures. I mean, and we've been under mitigation measures for the most part since March of 2020. So yeah, almost 2 whole years of restrictions, and sometimes they got a little confusing. But now we've kind of really come down from this Omicron surge. At one point we were at almost 2,400 hospitalizations during this surge, and now we're at 701 last I checked. So I mean, it's gone down a lot in the last several weeks. It never reached what it was during the Delta surge, but I mean, that's only because this variant was thankfully a little less harmful to people than the Delta variant was, or else, it would have, if it was as harmful, it would have overwhelmed the hospitals. Now, deaths are still pretty high because that's always the lagging indicator with COVID. Cases rise and percent positivity, then hospitalizations, and then deaths are always the last one to fall off. So they still remain high. I know Livingston Parish reported a death for the last 4 or 5 days. But yeah, so I mean, now we are done. I mean, and Governor said, we have more tools now than we did in March of 2020 when, he issued a stay-at-home order, if we can all remember what that was like. So yeah, things are a lot different now. Things look to be a lot better now. We'll see, and he's even said this proclamation might not even make it till the end, which is, I think, March 16th. I can't remember the exact date, but the middle of March when this current proclamation ends. And who knows, maybe he does away with it completely before then. But as of right now, yeah, we have the public health emergency, but there are no mitigation measures as of this moment.
Speaking of no mitigation efforts or measures, a lot of Mardi Gras this weekend. I was in Denham. You were down in Tickfall.
Yes.
For their parade. I will say the Denham parade, it was packed. People clearly wanted to be outside. They were ready for this to be back. Of course, Mardi Gras of 2020 got in right before COVID, and as we discussed, I believe they're finally starting to go ahead and publicly accept that was probably one of the reasons Louisiana got hit hardest.
Yes.
Right there at the beginning, and missed it last year. So this year, I think everybody was ready to get out.
Yeah.
So I will say, from my perspective, the Denham parade was packed with people and packed with floats, jeeps. I didn't see any bands, which was interesting.
They didn't have the march band out there?
No.
Okay.
That was very weird.
Okay.
But otherwise, great parade.
Yeah.
How was yours?
Mine was fine. I mean, mine's a little different than yours because I was at the Crew of Tickfalls parade, which is a boat parade.
Right.
So you're not going to get those big crowds. I mean, they have a few areas like some of the bars and marinas, like Boo Blues. That's a pretty popular spot. Warsaw Marina is another one. They have a few areas that get some people to congregate together. But for the most part, when I'm covering this parade, I'm going from boathouse to boathouse, kind of.
Sure.
I've developed. Luckily, the organizer of the Tickfall parade, Miss Christina Pierce, I've developed a good relationship with her, where she has a few friends along the parade route who they allow me to come to their home, stand on their deck, get photos. So I'm always appreciative of that. But yeah, that's kind of how mine is. But I mean, even though I don't have the crowds that you have, I mean, those house parties they look pretty lively. I mean, they have the food, drink. I mean, bands playing. So I mean, those people are having just as good a time, and probably, I mean, for someone like me who doesn't really like big crowds, probably more fun time for me. But yeah. So I mean, we got some great photos. They had a big parade too. There was well over 30 boats in this parade. And they were raising money for the Springfield Fire Department, Fire Protection District 2, which covers, Springfield, Albany, Collier, all those, areas on the east side of the parish, and they do a lot for the community. And so they were raising money for them. They always have organizations that they're trying to raise money for. So haven't heard back. She said they're still trying to pay out all the bills and stuff, but should, get a few $1,000s for the fire department there.
And that is a good reason to have a parade. helping out your community. So, thank you, sir.
Mhm.
We're going to jump over to Rob. Rob, let's start with. I think let's go ahead and mention real quick powerlifting. Holden's hosting a meet, correct? A big one.
This is the girls' East Regional meet. I talked with Coach White this morning, David White at Holden. This is easily going to be the biggest meet they've ever hosted. What happened? Denham hosted the boys' East Regional. They used to host them together, and Coach Joe Ryan at Denham, who's also the president of the Coaches Association for Powerlifting, he said what they decided to do was split them up. So Denham hosted the boys last week. Holden's going to get the girls this week, and like I said, there's going to be. I think Coach White told me 8 state champions are going to be there, individual state champions. So there's a lot to look out for, and the whole goal is to get these kids qualified for the state meet in a couple of weeks.
Cool. So powerlifting news, very interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to head out there, man. See what's going on.
They always they throw a good party.
It's really good. I was able to go talk with Coach Ryan over the weekend, and as we're driving, as we left the house from Hammond, my wife came with me, and we realized that the staging area is at Denham Springs High, where we were headed to for the parade. So I asked Joe how that was going. So he said they started months in advance telling people to take different routes, and hey, don't go here, don't go here. So.
Clearly, he was ready.
It's he's prepared, man.
Yeah. So moving into, that's postseason powerlifting. Let's talk about postseason basketball. We're well into full swing with the girls, and I believe the boys are tipping off tomorrow night.
Starting tomorrow night, yeah.
Okay, let's start with the girls.
Girls, we got 3 teams left. Number 1 seed Walker in 5A, and they'll be hosting West Monroe tomorrow night. Albany is number 3 in 3A, and Holden is, I believe, number 6 in Class B, and they'll be going, let's make sure, Florine, which is a team they played. Coach Forbes has said that's a team we played multiple times. That's pretty much who we have to go through every year maybe to get to where we need to be. So
and they probably think the same thing about Holden.
Yes, exactly. Because we were talking this morning, and she's kind of like, you can go back 20, 25 years, and that's when it kind of started for them. But and talking to all the coaches this morning, it was kind of like, hey, it's business as usual. We're not getting too caught up in what's ahead of us, and obviously if they a win Thursday night for any of those teams puts them in the state tournament next week in Hammond. For Walker, you look at that record and everything, and when I talked to Coach Arnold, there's always stuff to work on. He said we didn't shoot the ball too well the other night, so that's what we've been working on. For Albany, their game the other night, they're playing at Baker Middle, and there's about 2 minutes left in the first half, and they had to stop the game because of condensation on the floor. So they pick up and move to Scotlandville. Luckily, Scotlandville was open, able to accommodate them, but there's about almost an hour and a half where they're going in between. They haven't played, then they pick up at a new gym, play again. So like I told Coach DeRoos, after you go through that, everything else is going to be a piece of cake on this. So but that's just one of those things that you don't, like I told her, they don't prepare you for that when you learn how to coach and everything. That's one of those things that's not there. It's not in any kind of manual. You just kind of adjust. And
you learn with experience, right?
Well, I mean, she was funny. She said, I think we played better at Scotlandville than we did at Baker when they moved gyms on us. So, it's one of those deals. And then for Holden, David and I were there. They won by 20 over Lacassine. And Coach Forbes said she said, doesn't say it often, but they're going to be a challenge for anybody in Class B, she thinks. And that's not, so she doesn't normally go and say those things. So when she does, she's got to have a whole lot of confidence in her team.
Sure. So, and of course, unfortunately, and we're not going to spend too much time on it, we had a couple of teams get knocked out that same night, and a couple of tough losses, some very lopsided losses. Moving on to the boys' side, we have 8 of 9, I believe.
It's just like in the girls' side.
And we have 2 familiar foes who are going to be tipping it off for us tomorrow night on Thursday. Tell us about that.
It's one of those things. I called Coach Kennedy at Doyle just to talk to him about what was going on, and at that point the brackets had just been released. he didn't know who he was facing, so he's kind of like, who do I have? I said, well, you know him pretty well. You got Springfield, so Doyle will be hosting Springfield. Doyle got the 15 seed. Springfield's number 18. They split the season series. When I talked to Coach Kennedy about it, it wasn't too thrilled about having to play a district opponent because, the way he put it, it was you're going to knock out a district foe, and you don't want to do that. You want to see who can get the furthest, and he wasn't too happy. Coach Dreyer at Springfield, Coach Billy Dreyer, was kind of looked at it in a different way. He said, he said if we win, hey, we get a home playoff game in the second round, and if we lose, that's the end of the season. So he kind of had a different outlook on it. French Settlement, it was at number 6. They're the highest seed in the parish, and they will host Sarah T. Reed, which is number 27. In 3A, Albany picked up a number 25 seed. They're going to go to Sophie B. Wright. Different thing about this, they're having a 1 o'clock tip off on Friday, so it's to try to avoid some of the parade traffic down in New Orleans. So talking to Coach Carter, that was something that was kind of beneficial for both teams. So they're going to go ahead and 1 o'clock tip off, just to let you guys know. So
yeah, keep that in mind.
Keep it in mind. Yeah, you saw it. I saw it, and I had to ask him about it. But Walker in 5A is number 7. They'll host Pineville. Live Oak is number 27 seed. They will go to number 6, Captain Shreve. And Denham Springs picked up the number 25 seed in 5A, and we'll go to number 8, Natchitoches Central. They played Natchitoches Central a few years back. Went up there, and I remember covering that game. And just for everybody, it's like I tell them, once you get in, stuff happens. So the whole deal is getting in, and the parish has 8 teams in there in the boys bracket.
Wow. Well, usually it's basketball and baseball, softball. That's those are the busy times when it comes to playoffs because there are just so many teams.
You're just and look, I can't forget Holden too. They got a bye. They got a number 8 seed. That's what I think their highest seed in 20 or more years going into the playoffs. So
good for them.
They're just and it's not to forget them. It's just they're down here on the I guess the bottom of my notebook, and it's but you can't forget them. That's a good position for them. Playoff time, man. It is upon us. We're crossing over.
But last and certainly not least, you were out at Walker yesterday, complete with video boards, which I'm sure is interesting. But they hit a lot of bombs and ended up 10-run ruling at Mount Carmel.
Yes.
And that would have been through 6.
Yes, 6 innings. Just they get rolling here. Kara Jones gets a grand slam in the first, and then later hits a 2-run shot almost to the exact same spot. You heard McHugh say it. There's video boards out there now at Randy Bradshaw Field out there in Walker. They were the home runs hit almost identical spots. I was kind of picking with Kara. Just are you trying to break the new video boards or what? So, but looked pretty good. Laney Bailey and Ryan Scheck-Snyder combined on a 3-hitter. Walker looked pretty good. I think. And talking to Coach Westmoreland after the game, she just said they're going to have to take care of little things to be successful, and that's what they were able to do yesterday.
And pretty big things. Grand slams are not little things.
That's and that goes, and they're looking to hit good, looking for good pitches, and that's exactly what they did. It's just like you talk to the players, and they kind of echoed what the coach said, which is that's a pretty good sign of everything. Everybody's on the same page there.
Gotcha.
So,
all right, gentlemen. Well, we anything
before we roll out, we got to I think congratulate Coach Caballero at Denham Springs. He hit 300 wins against Live Oak. If you guys had a chance, and I'll just let you know, I did not make this game because my daughter was riding in the Hammond Mardi Gras parade, so I did not go. But if you get a chance, go look at some of these pictures of the gym Friday night at Denham Springs. It's kind of what high school basketball is all about. It was packed. Rivalry game, and Coach Cab gets his 300th win against Coach McGee at Live Oak, which I kind of asked him about that, and he said it's one of those things where it's kind of bittersweet because you don't like going up against your friends and you don't like beating your friends. It's one of those things where he said if somebody tells you have a good day, that means I had a good day and my friend didn't. So that's one of those deals. But had a really good conversation with Coach Cab, who, he got out of coaching for a little while. Then he went and coached on the college level at Louisiana Tech, and he's able to come back. And, I asked him, what's the biggest difference there going from college coming back? And he's like, you just kind of take things for granted, like, okay, that shot's going to fall, or we know what we're gonna move. And he also brought up that it helps when you have a guy like a former NBA player, Paul Millsap, on your team. makes it a little bit easier, but it kind of put things in perspective for him.
Still playing.
He's still in there?
Yeah, he just got traded.
See?
To New Jersey, I believe.
He's still doing it, man. That's great.
David, our resident NBA.
Yeah, I should have asked David first.
So,
Excuse me, Philadelphia. He got traded.
That's
as part
great,
of
man.
That trade that got James Harden to the Sixers.
That's great.
Well, yeah,
I'll just say you guys know that my focus is on here with the preps, and I don't really get.
Yeah, no, his sports focus is here. Mine is in the NBA.
Yeah, so there you go. Thank you, David. Man.
And I watch the NFL and pro baseball, so there you have it. I'm still bitter.
Won't be watching this year.
Yeah, I was about to say still bitter. First tweet I always go. My wife and I after the Super Bowl is the date for pitchers and catchers reporting, and we don't have that yet. And I'm not. It's okay. I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter.
Not yet.
I'm totally bitter.
Keep telling yourself that.
Yeah. Yeah, squabbles over millions of dollars. Well, real quick, I'm going to pontificate a little bit.
Sure.
How are you going to have this squabble this year after the NFL had one of the most watched Super Bowls in 6 years? One of the best ones, too, in quite a while. I just don't get it. Like, sometimes you got to look around. You got to read the room. And every time they have these arguments, MLB suffers for years. They got problems. Anyway, all right.
Oh, I mean, it took them a while to come back from it last time this happened. It wasn't. It wasn't
4 or 5 years.
Yeah, it wasn't an automatic thing here too. So that Super Bowl too. I'll just put it to you this way: that was, I think, the first one in the history of the ones I've watched. I did not take a bathroom break, so I didn't get up at all.
Even during the halftime show.
I couldn't miss halftime.
Well, I mean, the show was amazing. I got to say,
couldn't miss halftime.
All right, well, y'all got a little bit of lagniappe today.
Yeah, a little extra.
Little pontification here.
Went off the rails a little bit.
I will apologize for going off the rails. We're going to let these guys introduce themselves, and we're going to start on the viewers' right.
Hey, this is David Gray, reporter and photographer with the Livingston Parish News.
Hey, this is Rob DeArmond, sports editor with the Livingston Parish News.
And my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys out there joining us for the Livingston Parish News Weekly Show. This is Group Therapy. It's a time when I get to sit down with these two gentlemen. We talk about what's going on in Livingston Parish. I want to remind folks that we are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We are once a week in print on Thursdays at $7 a month to get that in your mailbox. We're also online, www.livingstonparishnews.com. We do hope you have a great day, and we will see you next time.